Jax's revenge domain. She called my Marina operation a relic from the past. What she didn't know was that I owned every pier, every fuel pump, and every repair bay she was standing on. My name is Marcus Thompson. Most people call me Mac. I'm 46 years old, and I've been running this Marina for 18 years. Before that, I was a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps for 12 years. When people ask what a combat engineer does, I tell them simple: we build things that need to stay up, and we knock down things that need to come down. We don't do theory. We do what works. Tuesday morning, 10:15 a.m., I'm sitting in Victoria Sterling's office on the second floor of the Harbor Building. Glass walls on three sides looking out over 220 boat slips, a deep water fuel dock, and a certified repair facility that I've kept running for nearly 2 decades. She's got her MacBook open, typing something. The chair I'm in sits about 2 inches lower than normal. She had facilities swap it out the week she started. Some people earn respect through competence. Victoria uses furniture tricks. Jeanette Walsh from HR is standing behind her with a manila folder pressed against her chest like body armor. Janet's been here 8 years, good woman. She's studying the carpet like it contains survival instructions for this meeting. Victoria finishes typing, probably the LinkedIn post, and looks up with that practiced smile. The one that says she's about to ruin your day and feels great about it. Mac, I want to be transparent about our operational restructuring. We've identified several inefficiencies in the current Marina model, and frankly, your facility represents outdated overhead that doesn't align with our modernization goals. I don't say anything, my hands stay folded. The wrench in my pocket sits still. We're pivoting to a curated waterfront experience, event hosting, premium charters, wine partnerships, the fuel dock, the repair bays. These are relics, Mac. They smell like diesel and they look like 1987. We need to optimize this footprint. She waits for me to argue. I don't. Your position as Marina Operations Director is being eliminated effective immediately. Jeanette has your separation paperwork. We're providing 2 weeks severance, which is generous given the restructuring scope. She does this little head tilt that exhale through her nose, the laugh she uses when she thinks someone's too simple to understand the big picture. I know change is difficult, especially for people who've been doing the same thing for decades, but this is what forward-thinking business looks like. Jeanette shifts her weight, still hasn't looked up. I can hear the Marina through the glass, a diesel engine idling at the fuel dock. The clang of a shackle against an aluminum mast somewhere down sea dock. Sounds I've been hearing for 18 years. Sounds she just called relics. I unfold my hands. Stand up. Pick up my coffee from the corner of her desk. Understood. Thank you. 4 words. That's all she gets. I walk out. Behind me, Janet exhales, not the same way Victoria does it. Janet's exhale is relief. The kind you hear when someone's been holding their breath during a conversation they wanted no part of. The LinkedIn post goes up 11 minutes later. I know because Troy Walker screenshots it and texts it to me before I reach my truck. The headline reads, "Difficult Decisions and the Courage to Modernize." She used the hashtag curated experiences. Here's what Victoria Sterling didn't know, and what nobody in Sterling Coastal Enterprises' current leadership had bothered to find out in over a decade. She didn't just fire her Marina Operations Director, she fired her landlord. 14 years ago, a man named Gerald Stone filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Jerry owned the Marina's physical infrastructure, every slip, the fuel dock, the repair facility, all 220 slips, the deep water fuel dock, and the certified repair bays. Jerry had built most of it himself over 30 years. When his finances collapsed, the whole package went to auction as part of the bankruptcy estate. Sterling Coastal Properties was offered right of first refusal. Catherine Sterling, the actual owner who built the business over 30 years, passed. The price was $2.1 million and she didn't want the capital exposure. Fair enough. Her call? I called Clay Hawkins that same afternoon. Clay and I served together at Camp Lejeune. Same combat engineer unit. He separated 3 years before I did, went to law school on the GI Bill, built a practice in maritime and real estate law. Waterfront property, commercial leases, LLC structures. That's Clay's world. We've had lunch every month for longer than I can remember. Clay doesn't waste words. Neither do I. That's why we work. I told him the Marina was on the market. I told him the price. I told him Sterling had passed. Pause. Then Clay said 5 sentences that changed everything. Buy it yourself, file it under an LLC, lease it back to them at market rate. You can always sell later, but only if you want to. So I did. I formed Thompson Marine Holdings LLC. Put down $340,000 in personal savings, every dollar I'd saved since separating from the Corps. Financed the rest through a regional marine lender. Purchased the entire Marina asset at the bankruptcy auction. Then I leased it all back to Sterling Coastal Properties under a master lease agreement. Market rate, documented, notarized, filed with the county recorder's office. Everything clean, everything legal, everything in plain sight for anyone who cared to look. Nobody looked. The lease auto-renewed every 3 years. It renewed 3 times without a single amendment over those 14 years. Nobody in Sterling's current leadership ever read it. The document sat in the original acquisition files buried under a decade of personnel changes and organizational amnesia. But Clay read it. Clay wrote it. And there's a clause in Section 14C of that master lease agreement, the property manager removal clause, that says something very specific. In the event the lessee's designated property manager is removed, terminated, or otherwise separated from his operational role by the lessee without mutual written consent of the lessor reserves the right to initiate immediate lease termination proceedings with 48 hours written notice. In plain English, if Sterling fires me, I can pull the lease on the entire marina. Every slip, the fuel dock, the repair facility, all of it. 48 hours notice. Clay had insisted on that clause 14 years ago. I remember asking him if it was necessary. He looked at me the way he looks at people when they've said something disappointing. Mac, you're leasing your own property back to people who will eventually forget you own it. Protect yourself. That's not paranoia. That's tactics. So when Victoria Sterling sat behind that glass desk at 10:15 a.m. on a Tuesday and told me my Marina was a relic from the past, I folded my hands. I listened to every word. I stood up. I picked up my coffee. Understood. Thank you. And I walked out of that building with the same composure I learned in Iraq when the mortar rounds are incoming and the only thing keeping people alive is the Marine who doesn't panic. I didn't panic. I walked to my truck, set my coffee in the cup holder, pulled out of the lot, and drove 6 blocks to Murphy's Diner on Harbor Street. The one with the vinyl booths and the waitress who's been there since before I started at Sterling. I sat down, ordered black coffee, took out my phone, called Clay. He picked up on the second ring. They did it, I said. 2-second pause. Tuesday at 10:15. I'll have the notice drafted by tomorrow morning. Certified mail, return receipt, delivered to Sterling's registered business address and Catherine Sterling personally. 48 hours from delivery. That's the clause. That's the clause. I hung up, drank my coffee. The waitress refilled it without asking. Outside the window, I could see the tops of the mast, lights down at the harbor. My harbor, my slips, my fuel dock, my repair bays. The Marina Victoria Sterling had just fired me from didn't belong to Victoria Sterling. It didn't belong to Catherine Sterling. It didn't belong to Sterling Coastal Properties. It belonged to Thompson Marine Holdings, LLC. It belonged to me. Tuesday afternoon, I drove home. Garrett was at school. The house was quiet. Gunnar was waiting at the door, tail going the way he always does when I come home at the wrong time. Dogs know. They always know. I sat at the kitchen table with my phone in front of me. I didn't call anyone. I didn't send emails. I didn't write posts about difficult decisions and the courage to modernize. I opened a beer, scratched Gunnar behind the ears, and I waited. That's the part people don't understand about patience. It's not passive, it's tactical. Every minute you don't react is a minute you're choosing precision over noise. I learned that in Fallujah, with mortar rounds incoming in a squad depending on me to place charges exactly right. You don't move until you know where the blast pattern goes. Then you move once and you move right. Let me tell you about those 18 years. In September of 2019, Hurricane Dennis clipped the coast hard enough to destroy the fuel dock's primary pump system. Red snapper season was 12 days in. 16 charter boats running daily trips, commercial guys pulling quota. Every one of them dependent on that fuel dock because the nearest competing deep water fuel facility is 40 miles up the coast. 40 miles. That's not an inconvenience. That's a death sentence for a charter operation running on tight margins and tighter schedules. I spent 78 straight hours on site. I ran temporary fuel lines from the reserve tank to a portable pump station I rigged on the end of B dock using hardware I pulled from the repair facility's inventory. I didn't sleep. I didn't go home. I ate gas station sandwiches and drank vending machine coffee that tasted like someone had filtered it through a boat battery. Troy Walker, my lead tech, 12 years under me, Coast Guard Master Technician certified. He was right there the whole time. We kept every charter boat fueled, every commercial vessel running. Sterling Coastal Properties lost 0 bookings, 0 canceled charters during peak season. $22.8 million in annual charter and commercial fishing revenue kept flowing because 2 guys who smelled like diesel and looked like 1987 knew what they were doing. Nobody sent a thank you email. That's fine. I didn't do it for the email. Christmas Eve 4 years back. A 58-foot sport fisher in slip 114 took on water. Owner was in Atlanta. Vessel was going down at the stern. Troy and I pulled an all-nighter, pumping her out, patching a through hull fitting that had corroded past its service life. We saved a $900,000 boat on a night when every other human being in the organization was drinking eggnog and pretending the marina ran itself. But here's the one that stays with me. Garrett's Eagle Scout ceremony 3 years ago. He was walking across that stage in the community center, and I was in the parking lot of the repair facility on the phone with a Coast Guard inspector, because a crane malfunction during a scheduled haul-out had created a safety violation that required my specific certification to legally clear. I couldn't hand it off. Nobody else had the credentials. Garrett saw me through the window from the stage. He told me later he could see my truck in the lot across the street. He could see me pacing with the phone against my ear. Neither of us has mentioned it since. We don't need to. He knows. I know that's enough. I'm not telling you this so you feel sorry for me. I'm telling you this so you understand what 18 years of holding a place together actually looks like. It doesn't look like a LinkedIn post. It looks like missed Eagle Scout ceremonies and diesel fuel under your fingernails at 3 a.m. on Christmas morning. Wednesday morning, I got up at 5:30 like always. Made coffee, made Garrett breakfast, drove him to school, came home, sat on the back deck with Gunnar and watched the water. My phone buzzed once around 9 a.m. Text from Troy Walker. Place feels wrong today. She's already measuring the repair bays for some kind of event space. I read it. Didn't respond. At 11:20 a.m., another text from Troy. 3 charter captains on B-Dock asking where you are. What do I tell them? I typed back. Tell them nothing. That was my only communication with anyone at Sterling Coastal Properties on Wednesday. I didn't call Catherine. I didn't call Janet. I didn't call Victoria to argue or explain why firing the guy who owns the marina might be a strategic miscalculation. None of that was my job anymore. Victoria had made her decision. Now I'd make mine. Wednesday evening, Clay called. Notice drafted, certified mail and personal delivery both go out tomorrow at 9 a.m. Catherine Sterling will receive her copy by courier. The registered business address gets certified mail with return receipt. Clock starts on delivery. Good. Once it's delivered, they have 48 hours to respond, but there's nothing to respond to. Mac, the clause is clear. The lease terminates. They vacate or they're trespassing on your property. I know you're ready for this. I looked out the kitchen window. Garrett was in the backyard working on his truck, the '98 Ford I'd bought him for his 18th birthday. He's shipping out to Paris Island in 4 months. Following the family tradition, he says, makes an old Marine proud. Gunnar was lying in the grass watching him work. The sun was going down behind the tree line and everything was quiet. Yeah, Clay, I'm ready. Good. Get some sleep. Click. Thursday at 9 a.m., Clay's office sent 2 packages, one by courier to Catherine Sterling's home address, one by certified mail to Sterling Coastal Properties. Both contained identical documents, a formal lease termination notice from Thompson Marine Holdings LLC citing Section 14C of the Master Lease Agreement, referencing the involuntary termination of the designated property manager on Tuesday at 10:15 a.m., and initiating immediate lease termination proceedings with 48 hours written notice. The letter was 3 pages. Clay doesn't waste words on paper any more than he wastes them in person. The key paragraph read, pursuant to Section 14C of the Master Lease Agreement executed between Thompson Marine Holdings LLC and Sterling Coastal Properties, dated 14 years prior, filed with the County Recorder's Office, and auto-renewed without amendment on 3 subsequent occasions, the lessor hereby provides formal notice of lease termination effective 48 hours from the date and time of confirmed delivery of this notice. The lessee is directed to cease all commercial operations on the leased premises and vacate all structures, equipment, and personnel from the property within the termination window. Attached. Certified copy of the original Master Lease Agreement, certified copy of Section 14C, LLC Articles of Organization for Thompson Marine Holdings, the County Recorder's deed from the Stone bankruptcy estate, and 3 notarized lease renewal documents, none of which contained any modification to Section 14C. Every piece of paper was clean. Every signature was original or certified. Every filing was current. Clay had been holding this file for 14 years, the way a good Marine holds a demo charge, carefully prepared, safely stored, ready to deploy when the target presents itself. Thursday at 9:47 a.m., Catherine Sterling opened the courier envelope. I know the exact time because that's when my phone started ringing. The first call came at 9:47 a.m. Catherine Sterling. I looked at the screen, set the phone face down on the kitchen table. Gunnar looked up from his spot by the back door. I took a sip of coffee. The phone rang again at 9:52, again at 9:58. At 10:14, a text from a number I didn't recognize. Mr. Thompson, this is Margaret Clearairy from Sterling Coastal Properties Legal Counsel. Please contact us immediately regarding a lease matter. This is urgent. I read it. Set the phone down. At 10:31, Catherine called again. At 10:45, Troy texted me. Something is happening. Catherine just showed up in person. Victoria is in her office with the door closed. There's a woman from legal I've never seen before going through filing cabinets in the admin building. What did you do? I typed back, read your lease. By Friday morning, I'd received 23 calls from 6 different numbers. Catherine, Margaret Clearairy from legal, Janet Walsh, and 3 calls from numbers that traced back to Victoria Sterling's personal cell. Victoria's text arrived at 3:22 p.m. Friday. Mac, I think there's been a misunderstanding about some paperwork. I'd love to discuss this like professionals. Let me know when you're available. Like professionals. She fired me 3 days ago using the phrase outdated overhead. Now she wanted to discuss things like professionals. I didn't respond. Friday at 2 p.m., Margaret Clearairy filed a response to Clay's termination notice. Clay forwarded it with a 2-word assessment, no merit. Their argument, the property manager designation in Section 14C was ambiguous and didn't specifically name Marcus Thompson. Clay's response, filed at 4:30 p.m. that same day, included 3 exhibits. The original lease execution document listing Marcus Allen Thompson as the designated property manager, the LLC's operating agreement naming Marcus Allen Thompson as sole managing member, and 14 years of Sterling's own personnel records identifying Marcus Allen Thompson as Marina Operations Director. Ambiguous, sure. Friday at 6:15 p.m., Catherine Sterling's 24th call came in. I was sitting on the back deck. Garrett was inside filling out his Marine Corps paperwork, medical history, emergency contacts, all the forms they need before he ships to boot camp. Gunner was at my feet. The phone lit up on the arm of my chair. I looked at it. I looked at the water. The sun was dropping behind the marina, my marina, and the light was catching the mast tips of 40-some sailboats lined up along the dock like a row of silver needles against an orange sky. I picked up the phone, held it for 2 rings, then I set it back down. Click, not the click of answering, the click of deciding. 24 missed calls, 6 voicemails, 2 legal filings, 1 text message from a 31-year-old Stanford MBA who wanted to discuss things like professionals after calling my life's work outdated overhead. And I was sitting on my back deck drinking black coffee, watching the sun go down over property that had my name on the deed. Sometimes patience doesn't look like strength, it looks like a man not picking up his phone. But every second of silence was a sentence I didn't need to say. The 48-hour window was closing. Sterling had no legal standing, no amended lease, and no leverage. Margaret Clearairy knew it. Catherine knew it. And somewhere in that glass-walled office on the 2nd floor of the Harbor Building, sitting behind a desk she'd had facilities lower to make herself feel tall, Victoria Sterling was starting to understand that the facility she'd tried to modernize had an owner, and the owner wasn't answering her calls. The following Monday at 8 a.m., I pulled into the gravel lot at Bay Point Marine Operations, 8 miles up the coast. 180 slips, clean operation, older facility, but maintained the way a facility should be maintained by people who understand that function isn't an aesthetic choice. Glenn Porter was standing next to his truck when I got there. 12-year-old F-250 that smelled like 30-weight oil and salt air. He had a cup of black coffee and another one sitting on the tailgate. He handed it to me without a word. "You bring the paperwork?" he said. "Clay's bringing it at 9 Glenn nodded, took a sip. "I've wanted access to your charter network for 12 years, Mac. You know that? I know. And your fuel customer base. I know that too." He looked at me. Glenn Porter is 63 years old, been in the marine business since he was 20. He doesn't use words like experiential revenue or curated waterfront experience. He uses words like draft, displacement, and net operating income. We understood each other. 15-year master lease, he said. Market rate plus 4% of gross fuel revenue. Had my attorney draft it Friday. Clay will want to read it. I'd be worried if he didn't. Clay arrived at 900 sharp, parked next to my truck, walked over with his leather portfolio, same one he's carried since law school. The 3 of us went inside to Glenn's office. Wood-paneled walls, marine charts, a framed photo of a 1986 Boston whaler that Glenn still keeps in a covered slip. Clay read Glenn's lease offer line by line. Took 45 minutes. He made 2 minor amendments to the insurance language and 1 adjustment to the fuel dock maintenance schedule. Glenn agreed to all 3 without negotiation. At 11:30 a.m., I signed a 15-year master lease with Bay Point Marine Operations. Thompson Marine Holdings LLC would relocate its primary commercial operations, all 220 slips worth of tenant relationships, the deepwater fuel dock equipment, and the certified repair facility's portable assets to Bay Point's expanded footprint. Glenn had already begun site preparation for the additional capacity. He'd known this was coming. I hadn't called him. He'd called me. Thursday afternoon, 6 hours after the eviction notice went out. Word travels fast on the water, always has. The charter fleet moved fast. Within 10 days, the first operators started transferring their slip agreements. Captain Roy Blackstone was first. Slip 87 at Sterling became Slip 22 at Bay Point. He called me the day he moved his boat. Should have been sooner, Mac. By 30 days after my signing, 11 of 14 commercial operators had transferred to Bay Point. 11 charter and commercial fishing operations pulling their vessels, their fuel accounts, their repair contracts, and their booking relationships out of Sterling Coastal Properties. They didn't follow a building. They followed the person who answered the phone at 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve when their boat was taking on water. Sterling Coastal Properties lost $2.8 million in contracted bookings within 60 days. The fuel dock sat empty. The repair bays sat dark. The 220 slips started emptying as commercial tenants exercised their own termination clauses. The curated waterfront experience was a waterfront with no boats. 16 days after the eviction notice, Sterling's board partners held a formal consultation. The vote was unanimous. Terminate Victoria Sterling's appointment as Director of Modernization, effective immediately. Catherine did it herself 18 days after my eviction. I heard about it from Troy Walker, who was still technically employed during the transition. Troy's text was 5 words. She cleaned out her office. No LinkedIn post this time. No hashtags about courage and modernization. Victoria Sterling walked out of that building carrying a single cardboard box. That Thursday evening, I finally called Catherine Sterling. She picked up on the first ring. Mac, Catherine, pause. I could hear her breathing. I let family cloud my business judgment. I owe you an apology, not because of the lease, because of what she said in that office. About your work, about the Marina. That was unconscionable. I should have read that lease, Mac. Should have read it 14 years ago and every year after. Yeah, you should have. Another pause. Is there any path back? I looked out the window. Garrett was at the kitchen counter. His Marine Corps enlistment paperwork spread across the table. Gunner was under the table. Everything was quiet. No, Catherine, there isn't. I understand. I know you do. That was it. 2 people who understood what had been lost because someone with 13 months of hospitality consulting experience decided that competence was outdated. Saturday morning, I sat in the bleachers at Coastal High's football field. Garrett was playing his final game before graduation and shipping out. The sun was out. The field smelled like cut grass and autumn air. I had coffee in one hand and my phone in my pocket, and my phone didn't ring once for 3 hours. Garrett caught 2 passes and made 4 tackles. He looked at the bleachers after his second reception, just a glance, just long enough to see me there. I was there. That evening, I sat on the back deck with 3 fingers of bourbon, not the daily drinker. The bottle Clay had given me 2 Christmases ago, and Gunner at my feet. The sun was going down over the water, not Sterling's Marina, not Bay Point's Marina, just the water. My phone buzzed. Text from Troy Walker, Bay Point looks good. When do I start? I typed back, Monday morning. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. It arrives on certified letterhead, filed with the county recorder, delivered with return receipt. And sometimes the most powerful thing a man can do is sit on his own deck, drinking his own bourbon, watching the sun go down over water that belongs to everyone and no one, knowing that the people who mistook his patience for weakness just lost everything he built. Because facilities don't make a marina. People do. And when you fire the person who held it all together, don't be surprised when the whole thing comes apart in your hands. If you've ever had a boss who thought your experience was outdated until they needed it to save their business, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've ever watched someone with a fancy degree dismiss decades of hands-on knowledge, you understand the satisfaction in this story. And if you've ever been written off because of your age or your approach, remember this. Competence doesn't have an expiration date, and the people who've been doing the job longest usually know something the consultants missed. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting incompetence reveal itself.